Back in bold. The Ripper, the Bolivian boy.
We're back again.
Tell me about your little setup over there. I saw a tweet. It was pretty crazy.
Like, just in general, I mean, it's a nice setup. It's a nice setup. I got a desk to work on. I've kind of rearranged the room so I can have this backdrop. One bedroom, one bath, washer and dryer, nice kitchen, rooftop pool, $365 a month.
That is
Insane.
crazy. That is insanity. On Airbnb too, no?
Yeah, but as always, I mean, I always negotiate. I don't know why people don't negotiate, but yeah, it started out at like a little under 600, and yeah, there's a lot of apartments here, a lot of nice modern new apartments being built. So I think there is a lot of supply. So you might as well negotiate and get a better deal.
Yeah, I mean, even listed under 600 on Airbnb for a month with a rooftop pool, one bedroom, washer dryer is freaking rare nowadays. So to find that steal, and it's not dangerous, no? Santa Cruz is Hakuna Matata.
I mean, I felt completely safe. People are nice, more English than in Paraguay. I've noticed. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Paraguay's a little bit more modern in certain places, but no, I mean, it's been completely safe. No issues.
Belize, well, we were killing it with multiple podcasts in Argentina about different topics, and then we did a couple in Paraguay. Then I moved on, and you stayed there. But what I really want to talk about is solo travel now with you, because when you first did it, you were with me. We didn't stay in the same place, but then you took a deep dive into the deep end, and you're about 3 months solo, no, in Paraguay, or what was that?
Uh, yeah,
Or
8
two?
weeks or so solo. But I've done solo travel in Europe, but I think that's different than Latin America, and we can touch on that for sure.
Yeah, well, even in Spain, like the quick little solo trips, yeah, people do that, but like living like all by yourself, basically. I mean, in Spain, you had like the real estate connects and so forth, but down in Paraguay, you met some friends. We did, probably hanging out with them, but you were pretty much alone type. And I just want to kind of dive into that atmosphere because you're going to go home after 3 months. That was the original plan, and all of a sudden now you're 6 months in and looking like you're going to go all year.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty much the original plan. I knew I might, extend, but yeah. Even with Europe, though, I mean, I spent like 5 weeks traveling, but it was more like quicker travel. A week or so in each place. This is definitely more of staying in a place longer for sure for a month or so. But I'm starting to understand what I like. I'm not a quick travel guy. I like spending at least a month, 2 months or 3 months, preferably in each spot. So
All right,
yeah,
let's
we
get
can
practical
we
right
can
into
touch
it.
on it.
Yeah, let's get practical right into it. So negatives, we'll start with first about being solo dolo, not necessarily having a little friend group. I know you got sober too, so you were just fully locked in. You didn't catch the loneliness bug or anything.
No, I mean, I do the sober stuff all the time, especially when I want to focus and get stuff done business wise and just fitness wise. But yeah, I mean, some of the negatives, obviously, you can be a little bit more lonely, for sure. That's why I'd say Latin America is different than Europe. Is Europe, you can still find places where people speak more English, depending on where you are. Where like Latin America, depending like majority of people, I would say if you don't know the language, yeah, that's definitely a more lonely factor because you can't have as many conversations. Large majority of people don't speak English. So yeah, you're kind of a hermit at times, for sure. Loneliness. What are some other negatives? Um, I mean, I think that might be the only one. Do you got any off the top of your mind?
Yeah, what about life moving on back home? You're seeing your friends do this and that, and now you're kind of sitting here by yourself. Maybe questioning decisions. Do you have any of that?
I think if you're just getting started, that might happen. But I mean, previous podcasts we've talked a little bit about it. But I mean, I originally moved to Florida pretty much solo dolo. I've kind of been the only person, I'd say, back home or with friends that has just kind of always done things on my own. I'm used to being alone. I like it at times, for sure. So I enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I even had a tweet about this. But usually I do go back home in the month of July. Spend some time with family. It's a great time, obviously, in the Midwest. There is 4th of July, and then there's literally like 2-3 concert weekends in a row. So you have a lot of stuff going on. And this is the first summer I haven't gone back. And the tweet I said about it's like I wasn't having really any FOMO. Haven't really had any FOMO. I guess some things with like weddings. If you can't make weddings, a little bit of FOMO. You can't be there for, a friend and it's a good time, essentially. But I guess that's probably it. Maybe FOMO with weddings, not being there for, seeing your friend get married. But yeah, not a whole lot of FOMO for me. Just because I have experience with that.
I think a lot of people have trouble when they do the solo thing. They get like off the routine, or they have no one to like check them. They start doing some, reckless type of things. How did you kind of get into that routine, lock in, and I mean, is it just self-discipline, or is there any tricks and helpful ideas for it?
I mean, for one, you got to understand yourself and what gets you back in routine. Like, there's a reason why I like spending over a month in places. The gym is always a huge aspect for me, is just getting in routine and finding a routine there. I need to be a little bit more organized, so that could improve. But yeah, I mean, finding what works for you. Like for me, the gym centers me. It's good for me to be active. Morning walks as well is good. Just getting out, walking. If you're not a big gym person, eating healthier. Like here, I've been focused on work and just working a lot and just like building some stuff, where I found a freaking meal delivery service, which is insane. So maybe look into that. The meal delivery service is good. It's like chicken and rice, chicken and vegetables, beef, all of that. It's like $1.50 per meal. And instead of me thinking about cooking, which usually I like to cook, to eat healthier, eat steak, eat ground beef, I know what I'm putting in my body. Like I don't have to think about cooking. I literally get 2 or 3 meals delivered each day, and that also is clutch because it saves you so much time in terms of cooking. So yeah, finding out what works for you in terms of routine is huge. And I think if people are going to do that, solo travel, we talk about it all the time. You're definitely going to be thrown off initially. But just understand kind of what you like and what gets you back to center and what gets you more confident and more consistent and more disciplined, and just dive into that.
Okay, in Argentina and Paraguay, we did a lot of things together, going to museums, going on trips, doing fun things. Did you find that harder to do when you were solo? Like, were you more trapped in your routine, the gym, the work, maybe going on a date or something, but were you still getting out there by yourself, doing solo museums or interesting things?
Not doing really trips. I wasn't doing any like weekend trips, but I'd use that time to explore more of the city. Like here, I'll go to like different. I did this the other day, even exchanging like some money and stuff. Just going to different areas of the city, seeing different parks and different spots that you wouldn't see in the place that you usually are. So that's easy to do in any city you're in. Just checking out different places, different downtowns, different parks, looking up on like Facebook groups, like for sure, like what people recommend as well. So that'll keep you a little bit more active and like outside of your general bubble if you are solo.
Getting out of the apartment is massive. Taking those walks, something always happens on a walk. The other day, I went to this bakery near my place for the first time. And while I was walking there, I went down an alleyway, and then all of a sudden I stumbled into some like old lady shop who was making the thing back there. You see that?
Yeah.
She like does different ones where it's like woven and all that. And I go in there. I'm like, oh, this is neat. And then I'm like, fala inglés. And then one of the old the customers there, I think it was a friend of her, she's like, yeah, I can speak. I've been doing pen pals for the last like 30 years with people around the world in English. And we talked for like 30 minutes. She was giving me all these ideas, like so happy to talk. And then I found out they can do like custom ones. I mean, for a really good price, like $20, where they can make something like that, like do a logo for businesses or whatnot. But I mean, just that little conversation like sparked dopamine in my brain. It was something new. We both enjoyed it, this old lady and I. So yeah, definitely that's a big piece of like getting out of the autopilot. So normally I would have went to the superfood, or I would have went to the Barbella Bakery where I've been working, right? And it's the same shit. And you get in the same routine, but I took a different path that way, and it was a total different spark in my head. And I've also said many times, talking to strangers, especially when you're solo dolo, is you have to do it. Otherwise, you will get trapped in your head. You'll get stuck in the apartment. You get depressed, all that. But if you just go talk to strangers, even if it's little compliments, they don't speak English. Hola bonita, you look good. Just see smiles, say hi to people. It totally changes your mood and their mood. You're gonna make them happy, and in return, you're gonna have a smile on your face. That's a massive thing if you're solo traveling.
100%. I definitely agree with that. That's something that you do a lot more than I do. Even on my morning walks, like I like seeing different. Like on my morning walk, I'll go to a new cafe. So I'll notice all these new cafes. So for me, it's like I check out new cafes, talk to the baristas. You end up finding that these cafes that look small, especially here in Bolivia, like they have indoor, outdoor, like they're much larger. So for me, I like checking out new breakfast spots or new cafes. And then even, you mentioned that, going outside of your like typical bubble, because right when you're traveling, you want to stay in the popular areas just because it's safer, it's typically nicer, but you can get used to that. And so when you jump out of that, like I went to a market area that I had to take an Uber to. And at first I was like, in the Uber, I was like, holy shit, this is a little bit sketchier. But I was like, whatever. I was trying to find coca leaves because apparently, those are here in Bolivia. I hadn't tried them yet. Yeah, I found some. But I was a little sketched out at first, and I was very obviously a gringo compared to everyone else there. But as I'm walking around, and this is another thing, it's like, yeah, that kind of shocks you. So it gives you that a little bit of adrenaline rush that maybe you haven't had for a couple of weeks. So doing that is good. And then walking around the market, I wasn't being like chattered at. I wasn't being like pointed out or anything. Like people were super nice. It wasn't as sketchy as I thought, which is what we talk about is like travel. Like you hear the crazy things about travel or different countries. And then once you're there, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. So for me, that was even a good experience this week, just going there. And at first I had, and then once I started walking around, I was like completely fine, obvious gringo, just checking things out, walked around for like 20 minutes, and it was all good. And then now I know a new spot.
Yeah, the hustling doesn't seem to happen necessarily in the Argentina, the Paraguay, and then now you're saying Bolivia, but the same thing in Peru. It's like they leave you alone compared to, you say Mexico or Colombia or Brazil. It feels like, hey, come here, give me something. Seems more south you go, it is a lot more chill. But the cocoa leaves, I did a lot of those in the Sacred Valley, in the Machu Picchu and Cusco, because the elevation's crazy. I think it's 5,000 meters. So what is that, 12,000 feet? High as fuck if you're not used to it. I was with my ex-girlfriend there in Cusco, and she almost like died in the Rainbow Mountain thing because she lived on sea level her whole life. Yeah. And it was bad. But I would just chew those things. I lived in Colorado, so like I know the mountains, but I haven't been in the mountains for a while. But you put those in there, you're just a whole new. The elevation is fine and feeling good. Have you tried them yet? Are they decent?
Yeah, they're not bad. They're okay. Nothing crazy.
Kind of like dip.
It just numbs your mouth.
Yeah.
If you're someone that does nicotine or something like that, it might be a good like alternative for a little bit. But yeah, it's okay. It's nothing too crazy by any means. And I guess you probably notice it way more when you're actually in elevation, because Santa Cruz is like the flattest, most popular, city in Bolivia, where all the other places are, 8 to 12,000 in elevation.
Let's talk about getting on that sober train, because obviously when people travel, a lot of times that involves, partying, drinking. We were going pretty hard in Argentina and somewhat Paraguay with all the asados. I've been clean for 3 weeks, and it's a different experience, you know what I mean? Because you're obviously a lot more focused. You do a lot more things. You're not as hungover as much. You're not out at night as many times, being in danger and trouble. Kind of dive into how you've been living sober, nomadic life, and what was the difference between when we were going a little crazy?
Yeah, in general, I do it pretty often. just because it for sure just helps with sleep. It definitely helps with like confidence and just discipline. Like the doubts that you might have in your head if you're building a business or trying something different, or you're even traveling and trying to meet people, for sure it's going to help with that. You just hit a momentum. I think a lot of people discount, like they go, oh, I couldn't go a month without drinking because of social activities, which I think is actually crazy because it's 1 month of the year. It's like less than 10% of your year. You can't even go 30 days without, drinking. And we've done, when you originally started Bold, when I did 75 hard for the first time, right? And I've done that 2-3 times since. So I think people should definitely try it. If you're worried about like social activities, you can still go out, meet people for an hour or two. I did that in Paraguay a couple times as well, and I just didn't stay out till 2 a.m. Still felt great the next morning. And I know Jack, even here, Jack doesn't drink that much because he's in Bolivia with me as well as Graham, but he goes on coffee dates with girls. So if you're like a person that always goes on drink dates or things like that, go to a cafe or a coffee spot. It makes it so much easier to still meet a girl, date, and then you don't have you don't have to drink. So, yeah. What about you? What's your experience so far? I know you've been liking it. Like, obviously you have so much more energy, but for me, it's like energy. It's like doubts and all that, like, go away. My sleep is better. Everything's more consistent.
Well, you just don't lose momentum. I mean, that's the biggest part. But to piggyback off that, nowadays, like, it's not even, a lot of young people don't even drink as much, right? So you have the run clubs, obviously. You have the paddle. Those dudes do all that. In Argentina, I met a dude who was going to mate clubs. Like every Tuesday, Thursday, they would just drink mate and talk. So like get on the little Facebook expat groups, talk to people, and there's so many activities now that don't involve booze. I think way more than there's ever been. So I agree with you though. Some people are like, oh my God, if I don't drink on a weekend, I'm missing out. But that's usually because they're living a very routine life, and on the weekend they let go, and that's like their release.
Yeah.
But if you're living this nomadic life and you're walking different weird neighborhoods you've never seen in your life, and you kind of get that out of your system, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I will touch on that too, though. Like, I think the non-drinking stuff aligns with people that are like trying to build stuff or create new things or like focused on something else versus the typical employee or worker. Because, yeah, I don't know, when you have more of a direction with something you want to do, you want to ride that momentum typically a little bit more than someone who knows they're getting, a paycheck every single time and it doesn't necessarily affect their output when they know they're getting a paycheck, if that makes sense. So, yeah. That's also why, as well, I think a lot of those people like to, with the solo travel, they like to travel fast. Those people can travel faster as well and not feel as affected with that because I wouldn't say they don't have as much responsibility, but I would say they do. So
I was saying the sober people can travel fast too because they're not out of it for a couple of days or their body catches up to you. Because if you're traveling fast, dude, it's very hard to party like a rock star or do all that. But yeah, I mean, I like to mix it in. I mean, I did almost a year sober when I was living in Copenhagen, and that was amazing. I had to get a little skinnier for this season, and after like 2 weeks, that your whole little gut is like gone. You know what I mean? So it's good to definitely cleanse the liver, cleanse that little fat on there, and but I'll go back to it, but not as much. I mean, I was going pretty fucking hard in Argentina with that vino and in Paraguay and all the asados and all that, but no, I mean, just momentum of being sober, not having off days, and you think sometimes too, like, I don't know, you think you could be more productive, have a couple glasses of wine here and there, maybe get drunk and finish a bunch of stupid work. I can work really well, I think, when I'm drinking, but usually you can't. And then like I look at all the stuff I've done in the last 3 weeks compared, and I'm like, damn, like it's night and day. What kind of productivity you're having, and
it's the same momentum when you're drinking though. Like when you drink a couple weekends in a row or a couple days in a row, it's like in your mind, it's like, whoa, I might as well just keep drinking because the hangover or the post-alcohol depression is going to hit. So it's almost like the same momentum. Like when you do drink and you do go on trips and you travel fast and you are doing that, like it's the same thing. Like let's just kind of keep it rocking, and then that until you hit a point where it's like I need to chill. So,
Yeah, when I did it, the Copenhagen thing, I was traveling a lot as well, like a ton. That year I probably took 30, 40 flights. I mean, it was crazy. And because in Europe they had the Ryanair, and back then it was actually like freaking 50 euros round trip type stuff. It was crazy. But you do when you're not drinking, then you force yourself to go to a lot more unique stuff, experience different things. Like it's way better than just being sloppy and lazy. So, but I'll go back to it after this game. We got to win, get hammered with the team finally, and then just keep it to a minimum. Once, twice, maybe, or just not hard. Because the problem is that when I get that bottle of wine, it's like, no, I
yeah,
want to finish it. You can't just have a couple glasses. It's game
that's like
set.
understanding who you are, though. Like once you have self-awareness, the same way with travel, the same way with like what type of apartment you want to go or live in, the same type of city that you want to be, living in for a little bit of time. It's the same thing. It's like self-awareness, understanding, hey, what do I like? What works for me? What's easiest for me? And even with alcohol, it's like, how do I typically react with alcohol? Do I just keep drinking? Yeah, sometimes. So it's probably the overall consumption of it versus just sometimes people can be just fine and be just as productive with alcohol. They're just not drinking 10 drinks. They're having a few. So.
All right, let's get the positive part though, because again, it was going to be 3 months to test the waters, and you're going to go back home, and Hakuna Matata. But now you're basically 6 months in, and you're in freaking Bolivia, right? You spent 3 months in Paraguay. A lot of people don't have any clue what Paraguay is, and now Bolivia. I mean, remember I was texting you. I'm like, what if 1 year ago I told you, okay, in a year you're going to be chilling in fucking Santa Cruz, Bolivia? Like, how crazy that would sound. But obviously something has clicked inside of you. Obviously something is working. Because not many people can do 6 months away from a home, right? But it seems like you're enjoying it. It seems like there's enough pros to keep you put. What would you say that is?
Yeah, so I mean, even the Bolivia thing, I laugh about it because I never thought about the country of Bolivia, but it was it was close to Paraguay. I never thought about Paraguay. We ended up there after Argentina, but like these cities for me are chill and relaxed, and it's not overbearing with so much going on. So with what I'm working on right now, it's like I like that type of atmosphere. So I'm gravitating towards those cities rather than these tier one cities that everyone who does travel typically they go to, or they just stay in the Medellin or stay in Colombia. So I like these kind of more relaxed cities.
You're gonna
But
love Medellin when you finally go there. You're gonna love it.
I
It's gonna
probably
be so
will,
fun.
but I never thought. I think like back when I do go home and visit back home, it's like, what countries did you go to? Like, saying like, yeah, Argentina, Paraguay, Bolivia, and whatever's next. A little bit of Brazil, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. But in terms of the pros, solo travel in general,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
getting back on the solo, and you kept going. You're 3 months over your original thing, so it's obviously something sparked in you, or you like it a lot for that reason.
Yeah, I'll touch on my specific scenario first, and then we can talk about, because I think we can bounce off each other in terms of like the real benefits of solo travel. But in my situation, it was, originally 3 months, maybe 4 months, head back. And for me, it's just, I don't know, it seems like an easier lifestyle when you're building a business and you can find ways to save even more money. If you go back to the US, it's not like you can just get an Airbnb for like even like $1,500 a month. Like if there's any city I want to go back to the US, it's like I'm paying an extra premium on top of what I would pay for a 12-month lease somewhere. So it's like you're paying, 3-4 grand for an Airbnb, or you go back and you sign another 12 to 18-month lease, and then you're kind of stuck in the US. You don't have the extra stuff with car insurance, homeowners insurance, rental insurance, health insurance, especially being a business owner or a contractor, which you're going to pay $500 to $1,000 on. Like you don't have all these additional expenses, where the positive of actually traveling for me is I can save money. I don't have an extra $1,500 in expenses. I can put that towards the business. I'm seeing new places. I'm meeting new people. And it just became easier to just, hey, I can go to another country and stay there for 1 to 2 months without having any of that extra baggage. And
It's
I can
crazy how many.
keep having these experiences. And I love the U.S. I think it's freaking great. But like right now, and in this point in life, and I think most people who do it, you know, they'll understand. You know, I could do this for 1, 2, 3 years, and I can still go back and build my life with what I've built here as well. And now you have those experiences. You've met new people. I've created great relationships. Met a lot, even more business owners traveling and entrepreneurs traveling than I have back in the U.S. So to me, the benefit, like a lot of the benefits outweigh outside of just being away from family. Like I think you've been doing it for a long time. Your parents would love to see you more. I would love to see my parents more. But, you know, this is just a point in time that it just seems like the benefits, you know, severely outweigh the cons.
It's crazy how many chains you listed, right? Like people don't have that in their head. How many things are like keeping them stuck with the health insurance, the lease, the mortgage, the car payments. I mean, so many different things. When you get stuck in that, it's hard to get out. Student debts. I mean, all those things kind of like trap a person. All of a sudden, you get out of that system, and you're like, holy shit! Like the freedom is very addicting. It's very like, why would I go trap myself again? Obviously, there comes a point where you need to build, but nowadays we're so lucky, obviously, with the internet and so forth, where you're able to still build without having to be trapped necessarily, right? So I don't know if you want to expand on that point, but my other point was going to ask you about now that you've been gone from the USA for 6 months and not Europe, vacation time Europe basically. Have you definitely appreciated more where you're from?
100%. I will say, like, yeah, initially you don't have, as I say this all the time, you don't have the conveniences of America. Like, to be honest, as an American, we are coddled with conveniences. Like, you have everything at your fingertips. You can pretty much get anything you want. Like, I'm a big health guy and supplement guy. Like, I can't get all of the things that I want out here, but you just adapt to it and you find ways. You find ways to either get certain supplements or you just find ways to get other stuff. It's not as, modernized at times, like infrastructure-wise, depending on the country you're in. But that allows you to, first of all, appreciate being in a new country and experiencing a new culture and appreciate the U.S. But it also opens up your mind to that. We're fucking coddled if you're from like the Western world. Like, you are coddled through your experiences. I think, it might be bold, but I think like 90% of people, if they tried to travel out in Latin America, like let's exclude Europe and other countries, like they would freak the hell out. It would, you naturally have that, the first week in any place, but you adapt. But most people, I think they would like instantly just go back, and they're unwilling to adapt to that society and like kind of, figure out their way. But I think that's the biggest thing. It creates so much growth. It creates so much change in your mentality. It makes you appreciate, where you're from and the advantages that you have in that place. Makes you understand that you don't need all of the shit that people like base their entire image off of, like keeping up with the Joneses. Like being out here, it's like, well, I don't need a $100,000 car. It makes you think like it's crazy that people are paying $1,000 a month on a 20% interest car loan because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. All those things. I just need nice clothes, and you can figure out the rest. You don't need all this extra baggage. So you definitely appreciate that aspect. It just goes to show you that, we love to make money. We want to be super successful and all of that, but I don't need all the things that I originally thought I had. And it makes you appreciate all the things you do have in your country and the advantages that you do have. So.
Yeah, that's a good breakdown. I think it's one of the best things about the solo travel thing is learning the minimalism, or like, damn, I didn't need 10,000 different supplements and an 80-inch TV and all these different things for me to be okay in the head. Like you say, okay, wow, I can survive, I can thrive in any place. And then I realized, damn, okay, what's more important to me is, taking a salsa class or having the walkable city or my friends and my family. And I think it clarifies everything when you're taken out of your societal cultural programming that was thrown into your head, which there's some good, and then obviously there's some bad. And you get to really figure out for yourself, okay, I like watching soccer, football. I never really cared about American football, and I don't want to bet on it every weekend, and that was my life back home. So tell me about that actually, that aspect about now that you've been down here for 6 months. Is there any things that you kind of look back at like, damn, why was I doing that, or why did I really care about that? Was that actually me, or was that my peers around me, or is that societal influence that made me actually care about those things? You kind of brought up with the car. That's
Yeah,
one.
it's like the materialism of stuff. Like the amount of things that you have. Like it's good to know that I literally packed up my entire life into a storage unit and I like sold half my stuff. And it's like I didn't really need to hold on to that stuff. You start noticing how much stuff you like hold on to and you just buy for no reason. So it's like that materialism aspect of it. The keeping up with the Joneses stuff, like I don't know, designer things. Like I've never been a designer guy, but like even like seeing like influencers and stuff, like flashing diamond chains and like diamond watches. It's like, to me, I don't know, that's not something I care for or respect. So yeah, it's like, it's just that you don't like need all of this stuff. For me, it's more of the experience, more of being able to understand how different cultures operate. And then the other thing with that, like to double back on that, is like meeting new people in other countries. There's a lot of people are super open and they're like willing to help. They're willing to like create like friendships and relationships, where I think in the US, it's a lot more challenging to break into friend groups or to even get new friends unless they're like unless they're in entrepreneurship or business, right? People are always looking for like partners and people that they can help out there. But it's a lot harder because a lot of people have established friend groups, and then you're almost the outsider like trying to get in the United States, and then you're also the person's like, are they going to invite you to these things or do that? I think it's much more harder to establish new relationships in the US, where like when I've traveled, it doesn't really matter. You just kind of knew if you're cool, they like you, they vibe with you. It's like you're all of a sudden in that group, and you're invited to things, and they want to show you around their city. Where I think that, like, I don't know many people that would do that in the U.S., where they want to show a brand new person, their city, and invite them to, their personal parties and asados and all of that. And I think that's something that you also appreciate, and you also go like, that's what I want to do with my friends or people back in the U.S. essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a big part of that is also you. So, like, when you go to a foreign place, you're more open to letting yourself go and not caring if the person likes you or not, or what happens, because, okay, you'll never see them again, right? So I think it's also something about you and how your vibe is, coming to these new environments that mirrors, the external world starts mirroring that, and you find those people and that kind of vibe. So I think it goes on both ends. The flip end, the tough part about what you're saying is, yeah, like, you're this foreigner, maybe me another foreigner, right? And, all that matters is this little world you're in right now, nothing in the past, what they did or anything, it's gone. You're just in the moment. Usually you have a certain amount of time. You're there for a month, so you got to go fast, right? We can't schedule a plan in 3 weeks. We got to go tomorrow and see if it works, see if it doesn't, because someone's going, someone's staying. And so you're hyper speed, right? But then you fast forward a normal healthy relationship of getting to know each other over 6 months, over a year, and you condense it into 2 weeks, a month, right? And so you have powerful freaking emotions, right? And you're doing things, and then boom, it's gone, right? Luckily,
Yeah.
you've had a couple where you're now back out with the Graham and the Jack, so that's rare though. That's really rare.
Yeah.
But it's like you deal with that enough, and you start getting very kind of pessimistic, but then also it's somewhat freeing because you're like, okay, hey, it's the now, probably won't last, and you just got to enjoy the most out of it, and then get used to the pain when they leave or you guys split ways. So it's a catch-22, like the Dunbar's number, like 150 people you can have in your brain, basically, relationships, and after that, it's like you can't even compute. And so imagine doing that. You're switching every month, 2 months. You're meeting all these different people, and it's nonstop. Your brain, you start losing your mind.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, even leaving Paraguay, met some cool people there like Jeff, Ted, Johan. Johan introduced me to some good people in Paraguay as well. But like, yeah, you leave and you're kind of like, You don't know. Yeah, you don't know when you're going to see him again. Me and Jeff still, talk back and forth. He's asked me about Bolivia. I'm asking him what his next plans are for Paraguay. But yeah, you do have those relationships and you build them, and those are some of the people that you end up hanging out with while you're there. But then you're like, you don't really know if you'll ever see him again. And then all of a sudden, yeah, Dunbar's number. Like they come out of they leave the 100 person or 150 person, right? So.
It used to hurt me a lot, and now I feel like I'm the one hurting people because I'll get messages from people I talked to a year ago or 6 months ago, and I'll be like, "Damn, we did have amazing time together, and now I totally forgot about you." And
yeah,
then it's like,
but I think it comes into play cool with traveling. Like Graham and Jack met Jack in Argentina, Graham in Paraguay officially, and Twitter, and then you find right if you're still traveling and going new places, that still opens up lines of people that you can say, hey, maybe we hit this country at this time of the year, and then you have a friend and someone that you can do stuff with, which definitely helps. And so people are, I've talked about that, like people are very, very open to, even though you've created a relationship initially, if they're traveling, you're traveling, you might be able to still link up in other places, and that makes, a new city that much better as well, to have someone to explore it with and check out new things.
The social media is big, really big. Like I was going to Blumenau, and a dude that I've met through Twitter, did a podcast with, I've never met in person. He's like, hey, you need to meet my childhood friends. I was like, okay. I go meet these guys, had drinks for freaking 5 hours at some nice place, learned a bunch of stuff, stayed in contact. So just that, like, I never did it before. I really didn't. Because half the year I get the little community through what I do. Another half, I'm just like, no, I don't want to see gringos. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to go to expat groups. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll just be on my own, social immersion and with the locals. But, now it's like everywhere I go, there's people there. And I can, let's have a coffee. And then maybe they're cool. We meet the Grahams. We meet those type of dudes. We hang out more. We maybe do business together. We create a relationship, even if it's through texting. So it's very powerful, that social media tool. I should have used it a lot before, but I'm glad I did the immersion part, because otherwise you get trapped in these bubbles, and that's not as good either. So there's a balancing act. But that definitely helps with solo travel loneliness. It, like you said, you're meeting entrepreneurs, business people making sure you're doing what you're doing, staying on top of each other, connections. So it's very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to dinner with a guy who lives here in Bolivia. He's Bolivian, and Graham met him through socials, and he gave us like a rundown of Santa Cruz and where we should go, and gave us some connections in different places and prices, and put that all together, for us before he even came here. And so we're actually grabbing dinner with him tonight, and I think one of his friends. So like even then, now you do that, have a dinner, you have connections in the city. They tell you some more stuff. You have more activities and things to do. So yeah, and that came from socials, right?
Okay.
So it's great.
So now that you got some wings underneath or on you, you've done it for a while.
I've always had wings.
Yeah. But now you got some experience now. You've done more time than a lot of people have done, traveling solo, traveling different places. What was kind of your expectation, and then to now? Like, okay, you thought this was going to happen, but it didn't, or, some advice you would give to someone that wants to hit the road. Just kind of like the differences, preconceptions that were broken and shattered.
Were broken and shattered? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. What did you expect out of this, and then what did you get?
So, I mean, initially, let's say going in Argentina, when we went to Argentina, like the expectation was, we're going to Argentina, we're making some good memories as friends. The plan was, hey, let's make a ton of content, and that expectation, was we didn't make as much content as we wanted to. Tons of editing goes into that. I have hours and hours of footage of different places and different neighborhoods and stuff like that. But then it's, hey, that's not necessarily the main focus of my business, and I'm spending 6 hours, 12 hours trying to edit all this stuff. And then it also throws off, my YouTube channel, which is, where I get a lot of clients as well. So it's like, it's probably not aligned with that, but I still have that footage. I put that together. I still have that to put on another channel. So that was the initial expectations. Now, after that, didn't really have expectations. Like, I pretty much played it by ear by not having expectations. Plan was Paraguay for 6 weeks, then figure out the next spot. And I was like, I like Paraguay. I'm going to stay here. Plan in Bolivia was 6 weeks. The first 2 weeks here, it was winter. It was windy and like 45 degrees and gray and cold. And I was like, holy shit, I might leave here early. Now it's 80 degrees and sunny and it's growing on me. And I'm like, do I really want to travel again in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know. Maybe probably not. So maybe I'll extend another month. So the expectations, I think it's better if you don't have expectations, because then you don't let yourself down in certain things, and you can just, play it by how you feel and kind of where you're at. So yeah, expectations, not much. I think it's smart not to have much, other than the fact that, it's what I say every single time. If you're thinking about doing it, just do it. Like, if you're able to work online, if you're able to make money with an internet connection, and you've been thinking about, hey, I want to travel and I want to do this, like, just do it. Because if you keep holding yourself back from doing it, you're never going to do it. And you can always go back to what you were doing before. You can always go back home. So you might as well, if you get here and you spend 3-4 months and you don't like it, if you're the opposite of me, where I'm like, this actually plays out in my favor. I like this. I enjoy it. I like being in new places. I'm going to keep doing it. Cool. But if you're the opposite and you do it and you're like, I don't like it, guess what? You can go right back to where you were before. At least you got to experience it and you got to make that decision on your own. So that's like always my same take.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but from the places you've gone to, maybe you came into it thinking, okay, we're going to make a lot of memories. We're going to do a lot of crazy stuff. When people say you're going to go travel Latin America, you're going to go to Rios, the Medellins, you're going to like have favela parties, you're going to do stuff that you could have never imagined. But it's almost like what's happened with you is you've kept your similar life that you liked in the USA, but you've taken up all the chains, basically. So you're still doing online work, you're working out, you're having routines, but you're living for freaking dirt cheap, and you're not tied down to anything, right? So instead of like what a lot of people imagine or think is like, okay, we go down here and it's going to be the wildest ride of our lives, and we had great memories, right? But it's more like, damn, you just were replicating your life that you were going on a good path in the USA with no chains attached to you.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, that was kind of the point. Yeah, you do have this expectation of like, yeah, we're going to have great memories, but they come in spurts. Like, they come in moments. It's not like this entire time. Like, I think everyone has that misconception of social media and the people that are posting it, because literally they're creating this high quality videos and reels, right, for views, and people think like, hey, I'm going to go there and it's going to feel like all blissful and amazing, and but if you actually do that and you actually live like it's a vacation, you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to run out of money, you're going to be more fucked than before, and you're going to have 3 months of, like, I guess, cool memories and parties that you said you went to, but you're going to be in a worse position before. So, like, they come in spurts when you do those weekend trips, when you go to the parties and all of that. Like, yeah, that's fun. But for me, and maybe it's because I'm in, my mid to late 20s, it's like that I'm kind of out of that atmosphere. I want the experiences more than just going crazy. So yeah, I think there's a huge misconception with that, and I think you should go into it thinking, it's possible, and I should bring as much of like my current life into, travel, and then you can get your moments, your memories, your content, all of that. But yeah, it's not like my day is any different than it was in Florida. I still try to stick to that because I still want to be productive and get stuff done.
Yeah, it's basically normal life, but instead of going to a different bar in Minneapolis on the weekend, you're freaking going to Tigray in the cabin on a river and with friends you met at a language exchange program. You know what I mean? So it's like you're still getting a lot of the pros you get of normal life, but then you spice it up crazily on the weekend and have memories that, I mean, you would never thought you would ever have in your entire life. Okay, so I think it's the best of both worlds. There's a few missing pieces. Like when I went back to the USA for the Christmas, And like I was meeting with people, and I'm like, damn, there's opportunity here, there's big money. Like holy shit, like am I missing out on huge deals? But that always comes down to you because any of these places you go to, and the good part about like say Latin America, the gringos, and some people will dismiss this, but you get pushed to that high class in these big circles like out the gate, okay? And now business is done a completely different down here, but they do trust the gringo a lot more for that reason. But also you can get screwed over. But you're elevated to these high circles that you can make a shit ton of money. You can make crazy connections that maybe not necessarily you could have put together these type of deals in Minnesota unless you're in a circle and your father knows this person and you're connected over many years, right? So yeah, there's
Yeah.
pros and cons and anything, but my whole message I think that I've gotten from watching you is basically you've taken the pros of your previous life and then you just cut the chains of a lot of stuff that were kind of holding you back or trapping you by going down here. So I think it's helped
Yeah.
your mindset. It's decluttered a lot of things, what matters, what doesn't matter. I was going to ask you about that. Have you had any like realizations about friends, about like lifestyle patterns or stuff back home that you're like, damn, like I don't miss this at all, and now I can see what's real and what isn't real?
Um, Nothing like crazy, but I mean, I do miss golf. I miss golfing. That's a huge thing in the U.S. Like just a weekend thing. Like you can be locked in the U.S. and just being able to go on the golf course and play a sport is nice. But no, I think a realization I have had though is young guy. You don't notice this when you're younger, but as you do get 25 plus, is everyone is living their own life. Everyone ends up having more responsibility. The older you get, you start having more responsibilities. People are having kids, they're having families. And so you have to recognize that when you are in your 20s, is that the friends that you do have, like they're still gonna have other responsibilities with girlfriends, wives, family, all of that. And so you hanging out all the time and you going out to bars all the time and going to the same places is still going to diminish over time anyways. So you're not like missing out by like taking a leap in traveling because you're still going to do the same things. And as the older you get, like the quantity of you doing that is still going to lessen because responsibilities come into play. So that's one realization. Anything else with like friends, like yeah, you appreciate them, you appreciate the ones that do reach out when you are traveling and gone, but we talked about it on the other pod too as well, like yeah, you appreciate those friends, but you also recognize that even if you're like the older you get, they're not going to reach out as much, like you're not going to be in touch as much anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much that.
All right, we don't want to make any expectations, but what's the next 6 months looking like for you?
No clue. It's changed. It's changed.
No,
Like
as in,
I don't know.
You're gonna keep traveling. You think? You think you're gonna make it the whole year?
Yeah, we'll see. Like Bolivia's so freaking weird, and like people say, don't ruin Bolivia. Don't talk about Santa Cruz. Like their airports here are like a shit show. It's expensive to get in. It's expensive to get out. They only have a couple direct flights. Like literally, I can basically fly to Lima, possibly Sao Paulo, and then maybe like Santiago. And originally the plan was I was going to hit North Brazil after this. Like me and Jack were going to hit like North Brazil, and I was going to make my way down, see you in Curitiba when your parents were there, then hit Florianopolis at the end of the year. But now the flights to even get to, anywhere in North Brazil, like Maceió or João Pessoa or Recife, are like $1,200, which is freaking insane. It's like 3 stops. So my plan is I have no freaking clue. I might hit Lima for a week just to check out Lima, and then maybe I'll go back. My dad's birthday's in September. I know my mom's having like live music. I might go back for a week or 2 just to say what's up there and then head back down. I might go to Lima, but I heard the weather isn't that great. I might go to Sao Paulo.
Go to Sao Paulo for a week before you go to
Sao
João
Paulo,
Pessoa.
and then
On
maybe
beach.
hit Curitiba and then Florianopolis. Like those are the options. But I am kind of leaning towards if I extend here in Bolivia, till that, like maybe end of August, September, then maybe hitting back for 2 weeks and then coming back for the rest of the year.
Chile,
So,
Chile, Patagonia, December. You got to join. That's 99.9% where I'm going to go in
are you
December.
going back for Christmas or no?
I don't think so. I did last year, first time in 5 years. But yeah, we'll see.
But I will. I think we should touch on. Do you got another question on that?
No.
Okay. I think we touched on my solo travel and my experience, but solo travel in general for people, like why that's important. For me, when I first solo traveled, like the 5 weeks in Europe, I became like self-aware of my own decisions. It was like the first time, like, which I think is super important. Like everyone wants to travel with people and they're so scared to solo travel. And it's like, I think the first time you do it, it actually is the first like bomb in your head when you're like just doing stuff on your own. You're just exploring things on your own. You're talking to people, going to restaurants on your own, going to dates on your own. Like it's the first time you kind of have this, because a lot of people they stay in their hometowns or they stay in their friend groups. It's the first time you are alone and you're like recognizing, oh shit, like people are nice. I can travel alone. I can have fun. Like I'm happy and I'm confident being alone. And I think more people need to travel alone. Like you need to do it by yourself because it really does like expand your brain. Like it opens up a ton of new pathways. Yeah. And that's what made me enjoy like and wanting to travel and go to new places was a part of that. Like, holy shit, this is cool. Yeah, you want to do it with people. Experiences and traveling to places is amazing with people. But you gotta you gotta do solo travel for at least a few weeks, a couple months.
A good percentage of the world's population, from the day they're born, they listen to their parents. Then they listen to their teachers. They listen to their peers. They go to university. They get some sort of freedom there, but they're still in structure, So they're still listening to people. And then they get a job. And they got to listen to their boss, right? And then they got to listen to their wife. And this isn't even considering societal, cultural, and religious programming at the same time. So rarely does many people in this world ever get thrown out of those bubbles all alone in a foreign environment that's completely different than the programming they grew up with and faced with like, holy shit, what do I do? I mean, what do I think? Do I drink this? Do I like that? What should I do? A lot of people can't do this. It's crazy. Now, for me, like, I think I was really blessed being delusional and crazy as a young child because I said, look, I'm going this way or I'll be alone. Like, if you want to be with me, that's great, or I'll just be a loner. You can attest to that, I think. And so when it hit me, the solo traveling, it was more just like, holy shit, this is like that ultimate freedom feeling that I've tried to manifest as a child. Like this is it. Like everything is in my own hands. There's no one saying anything to me. I'm doing whatever the hell I want. And I remember I went to the first long extended solo trip. I think 2019 was when I went to Italy and did 2 weeks, like getting off the train, just getting off in random villages in northern Italy. And I was like, this is insane. Like this is like the most freeing feeling ever. And just think about that. 99% of the world probably never has felt that. Doesn't even know what we're talking about.
It's the oh shit, like in Europe too. Like you get a train ticket. I remember taking like trains throughout Italy, and I'm like, am I even on the right fucking train? Like I think I'm on the right train. Like that having like oh shit moment because no one's pulling an itinerary for you or no one's doing it for you or like just figuring it out. Like I'm gonna take this train here tomorrow and do all like. Your
data's not working. The train guy doesn't understand you. I mean, so many things just alone.
But what I also say this because it actually annoys me with some people in the U.S. Like obviously this doesn't pertain to everyone, but like social awareness. I think a lot of people struggle with actual like they could walk around any city in the U.S. and just not have a care, not have an awareness, not like know what's going on around them, and they're just doing whatever. Sometimes like the people that are like super obnoxious, like they just don't think there's any consequence to anything. If you're traveling solo, like you build so much social awareness. Like in Europe, it was like pickpockets and things like that, and being on subways, like just understanding like, hey, maybe you should look around when you're walking, or like not walk down a street that no one else is down. a dark alley, like these things, you build so much social awareness that like it makes you more understanding of like different cultures and different places. And I think a lot of people lack social awareness. And I think like solo travel would truly like wake up your attention to that. Because I think some people could go to certain countries and certain places, like especially in Latin America, and it's like they're the ones that are for sure, getting robbed and like, just get in the person with the bad story of traveling. It's like they have no social awareness. Like they don't understand when they're in a weird situation. They think everyone's, gonna be super nice, or, every street is fine and safe and all that. Like I think that's huge.
But there's a flip side to that. Because if someone is
Yeah.
living in that la delusional land and they have the smile and they're like, "Hola, amigo," to the freaking favela gangbangers down the street, the guy's like, "What? What is this guy fucking crazy? Like, this can't be true." You know what I mean? So, like, social awareness is obviously huge, but also, like, manifesting your reality from the inside out also works as well. Like, some of those dudes, I think I understand what you're talking about, some, like, delusional suburban athlete guy that has no freaking clue about the rest of the world. Like, he walks down the street with his shoulders up and not giving one fuck. Like, sometimes, not all the times, but that works actually. And the external
Yeah.
environment validates it.
Yeah, but you're like that, like the delusional confidence. You'll talk to, the favela guys. You'll talk to anyone. You have good energy about it, but you also have social awareness. Like as well. Like okay, this guy's probably just
I should probably not
doing
go to the
something.
party.
I
He's
should probably
inviting
not
me.
do this. I
Uh,
shouldn't. Yeah, he's trying to convince me to do this, or like you can tell. You pick up on those things through traveling. I'm saying it's like you can have that mentality, but if you don't pick up on social cues, like you're the guy in Medellin that gets, drugged. You're like you are that guy that ends up having the bad story because you can't pick up on social cues.
you need
But
to
you
go.
have that, but you also have social cues and social awareness. So that's what I'm saying is like
I'm telling
it
you.
can build that. And some people have to have that happen to them to then realize, right? So it's like some people have to have the bad situation happen to them to then have it click. So
You need to go to Medellin. I think that's where you need to go next. I'm gonna laugh so hard when I do a podcast with you and be like, "Oh my god, I was talking so bad about it, and I didn't do it because everyone said, oh, it's popular now," and you're gonna be like, "Why did I listen to all these people?" I'm
no,
telling you.
I'm sure I'll like Medellin.
But
You
the
need to
first stop,
pronounce
yeah,
it
it's
right.
good you didn't go there.
I'm sure I'll like it. It's just the concept of it. It's like that's where everyone goes, and then the people that do go there, they're like they don't do any more travel. They're like, "Oh, this is the place to be. I love it." And it's like, bro, go somewhere else. Like that is
I
where
agree. You should have started there, which you didn't. You did some off the beaten stuff for sure. I mean, you're in Bolivia right now, but there's a reason people stay there. Okay, and everything you like, I think, with not everything, but okay, the fitness, the entrepreneur relationships, the run stuff, the
Yeah,
paddle, like, dude, it's all there. And they
I
made
have
it
heard
like
that. Yeah,
Westernized. Like,
I have
it's
heard that for sure.
yeah. So I think you should definitely test it out. I think the weather's good year round. It's the same for
But it
Nuggets.
is funny. I have seen on like Twitter and stuff with the sales stuff. Where they're like, oh, if someone's interviewing for a sales job and I see Medellin in the background, like they're
yeah.
an instant like non-hire. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
funny.
That is good. But all right, good. No, it's an hour. Good stuff. We gotta keep doing these. Hopefully bi-weekly, every 3 weeks. Different topics. Pump out content. And it's good, man. Hopefully I see you in Sao Paulo soon or whatnot, but keep it going.
Are you going
Make
to
sure you
take a
do
trip to Sao Paulo?
Yeah, it's like a $50 round trip. Nothing.
Huh.
1 hour
Yeah,
flight.
we might do a trip to some mountain range out here a few hours
Yeah,
away.
do it. You need to do it.
Maybe next weekend or so. But yeah, one thing I will say is like even traveling, it expand if you are business minded or entrepreneur, like it does expand different ideas for your business. Like for me, now I help US business owners, entrepreneurs access capital on the banking side, but a lot of people in my industry don't work with foreigners. And the cool thing that you mentioned, like, talking with foreigners, a lot of the foreigners or the upper class foreigners, they have money. Like, right? It's the dichotomy of like 90% are, struggling and the 10% are, making buku bucks. And so you're dealing with people that are interested in the benefits of U.S. stuff, and then it opens up, okay, maybe this is another avenue I can open up for my business where not only it'll make me money, but I'll also create high caliber connections
Less
internationally.
competition.
And there are people that have money. So you're not dealing with, people that are complaining about a $500 thing. It's like, no, if you can help me out with this, like they'll pay. So it's like you end up opening new ideas for your business. And if I didn't travel, I wouldn't have dove into more of that information or connected with people that I know do it well, right? So, yeah, it expands your mind in all areas.
Less competition, but just make sure you get paid. Dealing with the craziest thing, one of the biggest things that slapped me in the face traveling is there's nothing like American business culture and doing what the fuck you say and having integrity, because the rest of the world does not work like that. It's very, very disturbing to see, but if you can understand it and work within the system, so much money to be made because you're automatically thrown into that trustworthy position. Because they're like, damn, he knows how to do business correctly. I want to do business with people like him. But then you get 90% of them who are just trying to do what they do. They think about the now only. $1 now is worth 10x than $100 in 3 days, basically. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling mindset, but if you can crack that, and the Latinos that do crack that, they're freaking billionaires. They run everything. You know what I mean?
But that's why they like, doing business with Americans if they do good business too, because you're quick. Like, even if you're not, you're probably still five times quicker than you could probably have a very average business, but in terms of like results or speed. But you could probably work with foreigners and your speed is 5 times faster than other people. So, like, yeah, you're right. But I'd say there's still a lot of people that do shit-ass business in America too. So,
true.
But it's different culturally.
All right, Zachy, keep it rolling. I'm happy for you. You're doing well. You look healthy, and we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch. We'll see if the boys get back together, We'll see.
Chilly in December for sure, though, Patagonia. But hey, everyone else, live bold.